Welcome to the Scaleup Valley podcast, where we bring the best of the best to help you scale your business from 1 million to 1 trillion. Today, we have a very special guest. His name is Rahul Kapai, founder at KpiFinity, and also Agile delivery consultant, Technology Plus Innovation Lab at Enbridge. Raoul, welcome to the show.
Good morning, Mike. It's great to be on the Scaleup Valley podcast, and thank you for inviting me over. I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
Likewise. And let us know a little bit more about who is Rahul Kapai.
Absolutely. So I'll give you my introduction. So I'm Rahul Kapai. So like you said, founder of a company named KpiFinity. It's a consulting and training company based out of Calgary, Canada. We provide consulting services to the organization in the area of agile delivery, UX, and design thinking. We also conduct public trainings on agile as well. So just to give you a brief history of my career, I started my career back in year 2009, right after the 2008 financial crisis. So over the last 10, 11 years, I've worked as a support specialist, developer, QA, BA, team lead, project manager, Scrum Master, coach. So basically, every role you can think of in an IT organization. So that's my history and also what I'm currently doing. So my current consulting assignment is with Enbridge. Those of you who don't know about Enbridge operates the world's largest crude oil and liquid transportation system, and also Canada's largest natural gas distribution provider. So I'm working in their innovation and technology lab as a consultant and working with them on delivering some very innovative digital products for their business.
That's great. Thanks, Raoul, for the introduction and just complimenting on the size of scale and the scale and the amount of scale, threshold of scale of Enbridge. It's 12,000 employees and 35 billion plus, according to the Global Fortune 500 ranking information. And
that's right.
You have just mentioned some of the roles that you have been working on during your career. And there is always some questions, even myself who asked you when we were preparing this show. And let's start there before getting to the critical ingredients to scale, which Absolutely. Is the first one. And let's go for just introduction for dummies like myself. Difference between Scrum Master and Agile coach.
Scrum Master and Agile coach. So Scrum Master helps you do Agile. Focus more on the practices. Just to give you an example, so most of us already know this. In Scrum, when you talk about Scrum, the first thing comes to your mind is daily stand-up, right? So daily stand-up is when the team gets together, they talk about what they have done yesterday or what they're planning to do today and any impediments or blockers. So Scrum Master helps facilitate that meeting, let's say, and Agile, so helping people to do Agile. And a coach is someone who helps people to be agile. So from doing Agile to being Agile. So that journey starts at point A to point B, and the coach helps you to move from A to B. So there could be an instances, and I'm sure there are so many out there. A Scrum Master is also a coach. Mm-hmm. So it's you're also coaching the team to move towards being agile. So and you don't solve their problems. You help you support the team. You empower the team in a way that they themselves own it. They themselves find the solutions to their problem. So that's where the coach comes in. It's just like any other coach in sports, right? You don't go and play, right? Correct. You stay outside. Correct. You provide, yeah. So exactly the same applies to the coach here as well. You don't go and play on the field, but you provide them with everything that they need.
Got it. That's a great definition. And the second one, nowadays with COVID-19, digital transformation is accelerating. And something that you are working a lot is on agile transformation. What is the difference between digital transformation and agile?
A
transformation,
great,
please?
great question. So when we think of agile, so agile transformation or agile transforms the way you think about your work, and digital transformation transforms the way you do your work. You see the difference? So it's
Could
a
you repeat again so the audience can follow you?
sure I can do it again. So agile transforms the way you think about your work,
Yeah,
and digital transforms the way you do your work.
amazing.
So agile really starts at the mindset, right? How you look at your work. So I mean, we can go into the details, but it's mainly how you start looking at your work. You start thinking about your customer first, right? Whatever the work you're going to execute or deliver, you keep your customer in front. And digital basically changes it. Instead of using maybe Excel sheets, now you're using some fancy software that makes it easier to deliver that work.
Absolutely, absolutely. And final question before we go to the ingredients,
Sure.
which is, what are some of the most important agile principles for the ones who don't know too much agile?
Sure. So there are 12 principles in the manifesto for agile development, and it's not just limited to software development anymore. So one of the principles that honestly I love it. It's called it's a principle number 10. It's a simplicity. So simplicity, the maximizing the amount of work not done is very essential. So when you think about it, you can basically apply that in your lives day in and day out, and especially in the condition that we are in COVID. It is a pandemic. So how can you simplify your life so that uh, you only do the work that's really, really essential, very, very important, and cut down on the work that's not really essential?
That's great, great definition. And that's a very good way of starting to our first critical ingredient to scale. Just repeating the three: number one, radical focus; number two, world-class leadership; and number
Uh-huh.
three, culture of execution. And radical focus is all about this. So how can we make things that are complex, how to scale a company from 1B to 1 3, or from 1 million to 1 billion, or from 1 million to 100 million, and make it simple, make the principle simple and the focus simple and clear, understood by everyone. And something that I love about the way you see your projects and the way you apply the agile methodology is about starting small and fail fast. So how this kind of methodology can help us during COVID-19 crisis to assure even more radical focus, because the temptation when we are in a crisis is to start doing too much and creating even more complexity. And what we need in a crisis is simplicity, because the context is already too much complex. So
Right.
how can we apply Agile to help us get better with radical focus during COVID-19 crisis?
So yes, I mean, focus is always important, whether it's a crisis or not. If you're not focused as an organization or as an individual, you're going to struggle. And like you mentioned, it's COVID-19, it's a pandemic, and the world is already too much. There's already too much complexity, right? And we don't want to add more to it.
Right.
We really want to make things simple for everyone. For whether it's your personal life, your professional life, your work, your business, you want to keep things very, very simple. So how you bring that focus into this, that you don't get distracted with the things that are happening around you, it's very challenging, and it's totally normal to get distracted. I mean, if you go online or on your phone, there are news that's coming in, and you get distracted. You start thinking about it. It's very, very easy, and it's natural to get distracted in these kind of scenarios. But how can you bring focus back? So I was thinking about it. Uh, so first of all, I would say as an individual or as an organization or as a business, the first thing we should be focusing on, or something we can explore, is be patiently aggressive. So
Love it. Love it.
I don't know if it's a word or something out there, but patiently aggressive is you should know where you want to go, and you should aggressively pursue that, but also have the patience, because it's not gonna happen really quick as it would have in a normal scenario, but you need to have that patience, but also you have to show the aggression. So if I give you an example, let's say a business wants to expand out of their current geographic, right? Maybe a business in North America, they want to expand in Southeast Asia or Africa or Europe. Go for it. Plan for it. Go and expand. But you might not be able to get into the market that fast that you would have in a normal scenario, but you have to have that patience. And the second thing is when we talk about focus, so as we know, the world has already changed. We all have gone digital now. Everyone is working from home. It's the new normal. And I don't think that will be changing a lot after all this settles down. So this also gives us an opportunity to bring back focus by building new capabilities. I know, like I said, people are struggling. It's challenging times, but there's also an opportunity to build those capabilities that will bring back the focus or focus on the goal that you want to achieve. Maybe today as a business, or maybe before COVID-19, you already had the business processes in place. You already had the resources in place. Now everything has changed, and you're working online. You can't reach your customer the way that you used to. So it's time to build those capabilities to still achieve those goals digitally now. And the third thing to bring back focus or radically, or I mean, it's more of a supplement to that, because there's so much uncertainty and ambiguity in the environment. We don't know what's going to happen. How many companies are gonna bounce back after this? We're gonna lose a lot of companies. Unfortunately, that's an unfortunate situation for sure, because some of them it's a do or die situation. Either they do something or they'll be gone forever, which is very, very unfortunate. For those businesses to bring back the focus, to stay focused, it's also an opportunity to collaborate and partner with others. And when you do that, and you become part of an ecosystem. Once that ecosystem is built, you build the resilience in your business as well. So it would be easier for you to bounce back, to get back on your feet, and then explore the world.
I love the resilience word. This is a great opportunity to see really if our businesses are prepared to the most severe crisis and to stay for the long term. We have on the show companies like BASF, who were born on 1850s or something, and they have been through the Spanish flu, World War I, World War II, and they are still here, and they keep thriving and they keep scaling, and they were able to survive the different crises and generations.
Absolutely, and the only thing that I think is consistent in that company is the name. Everything else must have changed over time, right?
Absolutely.
So it's not the time to resist the change; it's time to embrace the change.
Love it. We at Fujifilm, we started with kind of 100% of their revenues on digital or photo imaging, and now it represents 15% of their business, which shows the complete transformation of the business from that time onwards.
Yeah.
And in terms of going to the second ingredient, world-class leadership. So this is the time where we need a team of teams organization. We need those SWAT teams, those squad teams in place. Are this kind of squad methodology aligned with Agile principles? And how do you, as you were saying some examples about that the coach should not play, or even in football or soccer, as you said, the coach is not allowed to get inside the game and play with another, and it will be it will have a penalty and will need to leave the stadium if he does that, or if she does that. So so what are some of the principles that leaders can adopt and can learn from Agile to lead their squad teams and their SWAT teams during COVID-19?
Sure, that's a I mean, leadership is a hot topic nowadays. People across the world are closely watching their leaders. So, I mean, whether it's your country leaders, your organizational leaders, or your team leaders. But let's first understand who is a leader. We'll talk about Agile. In Agile, there's only one kind of leadership. It's called servant leadership, which is a coach, or not always a coach, but everyone is a servant leader. So who is a leader? So leader is a person that puts the interest of others over themselves. So in a simple term, someone who is selfless. They think about others before they think about themselves. We also have to understand leadership is not just a title. A person can have a leader in their title, but that doesn't really make them a leader. And I'm sure most of us have seen that people with leaders in their title. So in a time like this that we're all in, we can see the act of leadership at every level. I mean, I can give you my experience. So I'm working with the teams of teams. Everyone on my team is a leader. They have shown that trait of leadership through different ways. I've seen my team members completely going out of their way to deliver work equipments to other team members so that they can avoid going out and avoid the exposure. So in the end, every person is a leader, and the role of other leaders, I mean, if you talk about the senior leaders, is to empower everyone, is to empower them in a way so that they can make those decisions. So also, I read somewhere some companies or a senior executive in some company took a cut in their salary so that they can keep the people. So
Right.
so when you start thinking about your people first, when you start sacrificing your own needs and wants for others, that makes you a real leader, a world-class leader. And all these stories are amazing. So to answer your question around the agile, what agile talks about leadership, and how can you make sure we have the people that we need.
Yeah.
So it really comes down to the mindset of the person and the behaviors that they showcase. So to me, a leader, or if you start thinking from the agile perspective, a leader should respond to the situation, not react. Once you start responding, you take your time, you think through it, and there's no knee-jerk reaction. A leader is always show respect to others, to person, to ideas. And it's very flexible, like I said, and especially in this scenario, you have to be flexible, and then only you can embrace the change.
Right.
And empathy plays a very important role when it comes to leadership. If you can't empathize with the people that you're working with, your peers, then you're not a leader. You basically have I call it tribal mindset. You think about yourself. You want to give directions and tell them what to do. So just like from the coaching perspective, or a leader is a coach, a leader is a mentor, a leader is a teacher, but a leader is not someone who will micromanage people. Knowing that everyone is working from home, you don't see people physically, right? And if you don't have this kind of mindset where you trust your people, you respect your people, you empower your people, you'll be struggling right now, sitting in your room, thinking what the other person is doing at home, right? So it's a frustrating time for that kind of leaders for sure, but but the other leaders that we call the people with the right mindset, they they are doing good. They all they want to make sure is the people the most important asset, right? So in any wartime, the very first thing you do is you secure your most important asset, your high value asset. That's how they put it. What is your high value asset? If you think your high value asset is your revenue right now, then I think you have to think about it again. Your high value asset are your people. So once you take care of your people, they will take care of your business, whether they're working from home or from anywhere else in the world. Did I
Love
answer your
it.
question?
Absolutely, I love it. You talking about some of the characteristics of world-class leaders, and I love it the way you phrased it. And going to number three, which is also related with the world-class leadership and radical focus, which is culture of execution. So as you said, we are working from home nowadays, and some of the principles that we are all applying, even in a more loyal way nowadays, the dailies, the weeklies, the monthlies, the quarterlies, the all ends every single week. And I'm kind of impressed about how difficult it was for me to convince some teams to implement those kind of rhythms. And now they are themselves who are kind of starving and asking their leaders to implement those. And my job, COVID-19 helped me a lot to implement these routines in our companies. And I believe that Agile also helps a lot about creating those rhythms and creating effective work or effective work environments and team building.
Yes.
So what are some of the Agile rhythms that helps teams to perform better?
Yeah, so like you said, agile. I mean, we always talk about rhythms and cadence and bringing that
Exactly.
predictability into our system. So I think that's one of the things that really helped us. So we work in an agile environment. We're in order to implement these rhythms, you also need to have an open communication. Even when you're working digitally from home or you're co-located, this is how I put it. So when you're co-located, it's easy to have open communication. But now that you're working from home, most of the co-located teams, I call them now they're dislocated. But some of the teams, but some of the teams that have that were very clear on the objectives, very clear on the vision and mission, they're not dislocated. They're digitally co-located now. So the teams have really empowered themselves. I mean, it's not just the team. I mean, team, of course, you need people that are committed, accountable, focused, but it's also the environment that the organization can create to have these digitally located teams, provide them with the support, with the tools that they need to get the job done. So like I said, I mean, my teams, we already work in agile environment, and we practice open communication, so there are no hidden secrets. So information is readily available to everyone. So it's not a push system. So agile, if you think from the agile perspective, it's not a push system. It's a pull system. So I can pull the information whenever I need. I know it's available. I know where it is. So it's easy for me to get my job done and maintain that rhythm, maintain that cadence of delivery and execution. So like I said, the very, very foundation of maintaining that rhythm and cadence of delivery and executing on your plans is to have that open communication. And when and over communication. So as a team, we should consciously make that decision of over communicating everything now that we are all working remotely. I put it this way, a firefighter is never being criticized for using too much water. So
exactly.
So over communication, it doesn't hurt. It only makes things better. So initially, I'll give you some example from my current situation. So when we all started working from home initially, what happened was we started with having more regular sessions. We added more sessions. I don't call them meetings because meeting has this negative annotation, to it that there's just one person speaking and the others are just looking. But no, so we started having these more comprehensive, more engaging sessions with everyone to understand where the challenges and how can we solve them, and those sessions were very regular and frequent. And what helped us in that way, even though we were agile, we were already practicing a lot of principles and best practices, but we also needed that time to settle down into this new way of working, and this over communication and these regular sessions that really help us to ramp up and get back to our normal that was before COVID-19. Even though the teams are digitally located now, uh, uh, but we are maintaining our rhythm. We are delivering. We are focused because our vision is very clear. So we have to. One thing we can do to make our teams successful is having a clear vision to them, and having a realistic expectations from them. So this is something that as a leaders, I'm talking about senior leadership in any organization, they can bring that in. They can bring that clarity in this complex environment. They can add vision to it. So when vision comes, the volatility decreases, right? There's no ambiguity. People are not confused anymore. So you have to bring that vision. You have to make sure that you communicate that vision and make sure that everyone understands it. There are no assumptions in that vision.
And you can have high clarity in a situation of life and death in wartime. You can. It's much more complex to have clarity, but if you don't have clarity, you will not succeed in such a critical mission.
No, so this is how I see it. So there's a principle called UCA. It stands for VUCA. So volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity. So all these factors are so high right now, and it's a great opportunity for any leader to step up and bring clarity into the system. There's so much opportunity to bring clarity. There wasn't anything like this before, so we can do so much to bring that clarity for everyone that we work with. So if you bring in the clarity, the complexity factor would go down. So
absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. And it's great to see. And with the companies that I have the pleasure of advising, it's great to see that some of them have a huge problem in terms of attracting talent and retaining talent, because they needed to send some of the new hiring, or even the leadership team needs to be in the headquarters in a specific office. And nowadays, everything completely changed, so that it doesn't matter where they are, because they can't go to the office, so they need to operate remotely anyway. So now the talent pool is they have a much better talent pool and a bigger talent pool available to help them solve their problems and achieve their vision. So it's amazing to see how things completely changed from one day to another. So the problem of distributed teams stop it. So we don't need to be all in the same place anymore. And this was a mental blocker.
No, honestly, it was a mental blocker until this happened. Now, like I said, if you empower your team, if you provide that environment, it doesn't really matter where they are.
Yeah.
If you trust your people, if you know your people are committed or they're accountable, then you don't have to worry about them. You don't want to see them on a day-to-day basis. You have to trust them. You know they're going to do it. They're going to deliver it. They're going to execute on it. But at the same time, you also have to, like I said previously, that empathy plays a very important role. So in these times when everyone is working from home, it's not a normal working from home conditions. We are in the middle of a pandemic, and we're trying to work from home. So we have to set the right expectations with our folks as well. We can't go on saying, oh, this is how much you're going to deliver, because that's what we decided in January or in December previously, before everything when everything was normal. But things have changed, so we also have to change our expectations and make sure that people are comfortable and they have the support. They're comfortable, they're confident to work. But if we keep those previous expectations, then we are just setting our people up for failures. So empathy really plays an important role in this world right now. To whether you're talking about the leadership or you're talking about the execution or delivery, empathy has to be there.
Got it. And we come to the last question of the show, and one of our favorites, which is, if you would have the opportunity to meet Raoul when you started working on your career on Agile, what advice would you offer to your younger self?
Oh, that's a tough one. So advice to my younger self. One thing I would definitely tell the younger Rahul is, don't be too hard on yourself. Everything happens for a reason. Like I said, I started my career right after the financial crisis in 2008. I've seen enough. I mean, I live in Alberta, Canada. I don't know if you know about it. We had some issues also with the oil prices going down. Economy already was kind of struggling, and now more because of pandemic, it has taken another hit. So I've seen enough of economic issues already. But the thing I would say is everything happens for a reason, and don't for a minute underestimate yourself. You got it. You got it, and you'll be fine, and you'll do good. Just believe in yourself. And that would be my advice to myself and to anyone else. Just believe in yourself. Have that. Have patience and focus on your goals. You'll achieve it for sure.
Love it. So it reminds me of an amazing quote that I'm repeating a lot these times, which is, don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. It doesn't matter what happens to you. It matters what you do about what happens to you. And Raoul, it was really a pleasure to have you on the show. And thanks for making the time to share your career and your experience with us.
Thank you, Mike. It was a pleasure and honor. All the very best.
Perfect. And to you, we keep bringing you the best of the best tools, the best methodologies, the best philosophies, the best toolkits, so you can thrive during COVID-19 crisis and keep scaling. So stay healthy and see you soon.